Hello, welcome, Sally. What a
No,
delight to
thanks for
have
having me.
you in the Zoom room for our interview today. I'm so delighted to connect with you, and thanks so much for being a part of the Ethical Enterprise Awards. My goodness, a finalist. Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm so excited because there are really great finalists in the awards. So really happy to be amongst it.
Mm. So tell us, Human and Hope, tell us about the organisation and how you started with them and got connected.
So when I was 25 in 2011, do the math, I bought a one-way ticket to Cambodia. I was originally going there to be a volunteer coordinator at a day centre for former street children, and I managed the short-term foreign volunteers who were there to teach English, to work on the farm, etc. But throughout that year that I was there, I realized that this wasn't the sustainable way of development for Cambodia, because we were encouraging a revolving door of voluntourists, is what they're called, and they were disempowering the local qualified staff, creating detachment issues with children, and just not contributing to the sustainability of the organisation. And without knowing, it's not blaming the voluntourists, it's just the system that has started over the past few years. So my best friend from that organisation, who's Cambodian, she introduced me to Human and Hope Association, which at the time was a nightly English school located at a pagoda. What had happened was a few locals had gotten together and said, look, there's not enough education in our community, let's do something about it. So when I was introduced to them, I thought, this is amazing. I have now learnt from my mistakes and realised that we need to be fostering the development of local people and leading them to have their own solutions to bring their communities out of poverty. So I began working with them as operations manager, earning nothing. And at the time, it was the local volunteers were earning nothing as well. And basically, over the next 4 years, I built it up to be a reputable registered NGO, which has no foreign volunteers, and it's run entirely by local staff. And I'm really proud that in 2016, I was able to make myself redundant.
That's amazing, Sally. That's wonderful. I've never heard the expression voluntourists, but I can so get it. I
It
can
is a
so
$2
get it.
billion a year industry, and
Mm,
especially Australians and schools are going over and building houses in these developing countries, which when you first look at it, you think, wow, that's amazing, that's really generous. But think about it. There are lots and lots of qualified builders in these countries who are actually going to have to work in Thailand and Vietnam because they can't get work in Cambodia.
mm. Getting really connected to what is actually going to be life-serving for the communities, not just sort of helping without seeing the impact of that. So I love that there's actually, it's really an empathic design of how do we support and in a way that's actually going to work for the people that we're intending to support. So
Exactly. So now
wonderful.
HHA developed from a nightly English school into a community centre, and we built our own location, and we concentrate on a holistic approach to development, which means that we involve whole families instead of just putting that responsibility to get out of poverty on one person. So we have education programs for the children, vocational training programs for aimed at the women, mostly mothers, and then community support programs aimed at the whole community in general. So they're all working together to move themselves out of poverty.
It's really that self-respect and empowerment that I can imagine that is really at the heart of wanting to help, because we want to have people, whoever we're helping in this country, in Cambodia, where we're really wanting to have a sense that what we're doing is actually empowering personal responsibility and choice. And yeah, it's
Choice,
wonderful.
that's a really good point. It's all about choice, because you
Mm,
really need to have the local communities working with the local communities, and they come up with those solutions. They have the choice instead of just having something forced on them saying this will work for you. They're coming up with the solution themselves, which is much more sustainable.
yes, of course. And I was on your website and I saw the little video of the beautiful kids and their smiles, and they're running into classrooms and
Yeah.
yeah, and the garden. And so tell me about how it makes you feel. I'm guessing you're visiting Cambodia really quite often, and tell us how it makes you feel about seeing the joy and the project and how it's working.
Oh, it's amazing. And I miss HHA every day. It was so bittersweet to leave, but I had to, because developing HHA wasn't about me, it was about the community. So I had to step back and say, Sally, you're no longer needed. Get used to it. It's like a mother when her child leaves the nest. But now I look at it, I communicate daily with the staff, and I'm so proud of what they've achieved and how focused they are on developing themselves and developing their community. And the last survey showed that 17 families have moved out of the poverty bracket and stayed out for a minimum of a year, which just shows how big our impact is, because it's not easy to get a family out of poverty. It is really difficult. And our staff in Cambodia, they're just so committed to helping their community. They give it their all. It makes me very, very happy and proud.
Oh my goodness, I can so hear that. And I'm guessing that there's been lots of personal lessons as you've done the work and stepped back. And tell us about what it's been like for you personally to go through the transition with them, and maybe what have you learned about you?
I went to Cambodia as a 25-year-old who didn't realize how much ability I had. So when I was building up the confidence of our team, because they always had the ability within themselves, it was about bringing them out and showing them, hey, you've got this, you can really do this. It also brought out my ability, and it made me realize that I'm so much more intelligent than I thought I was. I'm very resilient, because there were a lot of challenges living in Cambodia for 5 years and 3 months. A lot of challenges that I won't go into, but it just made me a much stronger person, and I'm so much better for it. And it was really good for developing my skills. And what I do now in Australia is I head up our fundraising board. So we raise 50% of the yearly income for Human and Hope Association. And in Cambodia, the Cambodian staff are raising 50% of their income themselves, which is remarkable. You don't see that very often.
Oh, that's incredible. I'm wondering too about where to from here, because it's already done so much. I mean, what can you imagine might be part of the future?
So next year, we want to set up a student development program, because at HHA, there are amazing role models who are our teachers, and the students are learning, they're improving their behaviour. However, when they get home, we can't always guarantee that they're surrounded by good role models. So our student development program would see excursions take place, because our students rarely leave their village, so they can see what's possible in wider Siem Reap. We would also do education scholarships for 5 of our students to progress with their English education to study at the Australian Centre for Education in Siem Reap. There will also be a mentoring program for our sewing students and our education students, and we will be initiating Leadership of the Year awards, where the students are given a social problem in their community to solve, and they have to present on that to the community. And that will be a huge thing for them, because it's passing on our values to the next generation to say, hey, you want a problem solved? You can solve it yourself. And then we also want to expand our sewing cooperative. So last year, a sewing cooperative was established with our sewing graduates, and they are working together to make uniforms for school NGOs and for hotels, for businesses, for universities. And that's currently driven by our local staff. But in the future, we want that to be run entirely by the students themselves, which means we have to develop their leadership skills, their confidence, their teamwork is a big thing, and their business development skills. But that's a big aim for us. And of course, to expand our sewing program into the rural area of Real Commune, where the poverty rate is sadly 35%, which is why I'm really eager to give it my all in the Ethical Enterprise Award. So then that $10,000 would allow us to reach 8 women in that community. And in 10 months, they will have the skills to gain stable employment and move out of poverty within the next year.
Well, that's inspiring. I can so hear how an award of $10,000 might contribute to the organisation. And I wonder about you coming to the awards, how that feels, and what it's like to be part of the Moral Fairground Ethical Enterprise Awards this year.
Oh, I'm so excited, and I love everything that Moral Fairground stands for. And I can't wait to actually, not just for the awards, but to listen at the conference and to hear all of these change makers and get their insight into what they believe is good and sustainable change and how they're making a difference with their social enterprises. And I could probably learn from that and hopefully also make some connections for our ethically made handicrafts. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Me too. And thank you for introducing me to the handicrafts. I've actually been online and purchased a couple of new shopping bags that I can pop in my handbag. I love them. They're beautiful. And I'm just thrilled to imagine meeting you there. And so I just want to let people know it's the 25th, 26th next week. And I hope that more ethical enterprise and maybe aspiring ethical enterprise leaders of tomorrow join us there. So thank you so much, Sally. It's been such a delight to speak with you. See you at the conference.
It's my pleasure. See you there.